Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking on a foundational concept, really the very first step in one of the most profound philosophies out there. The Buddha's first noble truth.
Dukkha.
Yes, dukkha. And it's a term that's often, well, misunderstood, isn't it? Frequently just translated as suffering.
Right. Which immediately makes the whole philosophy sound quite pessimistic.
Exactly. But it's really so much more nuanced. We'll explore dukkha more as unsatisfactoriness or maybe even stress and show its deep role in, well, the nature of existence itself.
That distinction right there feels important because saying life is suffering, that sounds like a grim verdict.
It does.
But unsatisfactoriness, that lands differently. It feels more like a radical kind of realism.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
The Buddha wasn't saying life is only suffering or that joy isn't real. Not at all.
Okay.
Instead, the core insight is that conditioned existence, basically everything we experience that's subject to change it, contains this fundamental stress, this inherent out-of-jointness, you might say.
And acknowledging this isn't meant to be a downer, it's actually the crucial, the absolutely essential first step on a path towards, genuine peace.
So our mission today is to really illuminate this concept for you, dive into its subtleties, and maybe show how facing this truth can, maybe surprisingly, lead to real liberation.
To really grasp dukkha, I think we need to understand its layers. The original Pali word itself, dukkha, is pretty fascinating.
No.
Yeah, du means bad or difficult, and ka can signify empty or space. So it sort of evokes the sense of a difficult, empty space or things feeling fundamentally out of joint.
Interesting.
And the Buddha actually broke this down quite clearly into three distinct types. They move from the most obvious to the most subtle.
Okay, that sounds like a good way to unpack it, moving from the apparent to the pervasive. So let's start with the most obvious then. What's that first category?
That's dukkha-dukkha. This is what we most commonly think of as suffering. Physical pain, illness, the sharp pang of grief, loss.
The unavoidable hard stuff.
Exactly. The challenges of old age. It's the kind of suffering you don't need much convincing about. You feel it directly.
Right. And the second type, I imagine, gets a bit more subtle, but still something we all know.
Precisely. That's Viparinama-dukkha. This is the suffering that comes about because of change. The inherent pain of, impermanence.
Impermanence, okay.
Yeah. Think about your most wonderful moments, maybe a happy relationship, even just feeling perfectly healthy.
Sure.
While those things are pleasant, the underlying knowledge that they won't last forever, that they are impermanent,
Right.
and the eventual transition of that pleasant state into something unpleasant, or maybe just it not being there anymore, that itself is a subtle source of dukkha.
So it's not necessarily the bad thing itself, but the fact that the good thing changes or ends, or even just the anxiety about it ending.
Exactly. That's a really key insight. It shifts the focus.
That's already quite a shift. Okay, but then there's a third type, the one that's maybe even deeper, the one that underpins everything.
Yes, this is Sankhara-dukkha. It's the most subtle, the most pervasive form. It's the suffering, or maybe unsatisfactoriness, that stems from the very nature of conditioned existence itself.
Conditioned existence, meaning things being dependent on other things, things being temporary.
Right. Everything that arises and passes away, it's that quiet background hum of dissatisfaction, an unease that can be there even when things seem to be going perfectly well on the surface.
Like a fundamental instability.
Sort of, yeah. It's that constant whisper reminding us that nothing we experience, nothing we cling to is truly fixed or ultimately permanently satisfying. Even the constant striving for happiness can have this subtle dukkha baked into it.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a tough truth, especially, our modern world seems geared toward avoiding discomfort at all costs.
It really does.
So when the Buddha talked about dukkha, he wasn't, like you said, just laying down some grim verdict on life. It was more a diagnosis. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a really powerful way to frame it, yes. It shifts the whole perspective, doesn't it? From pessimism to, pragmatism.
Yeah.
Think of a doctor. They have to accurately diagnose an illness before they can even think about prescribing a cure.
Makes sense.
The Buddha identified this fundamental unsatisfactoriness, this sort of illness inherent in conditioned existence, as the essential starting point, the absolute ground floor for his entire teaching.
So trying to ignore it or just distract ourselves
do.
is like trying to ignore a fever. It doesn't actually make the problem go away.
Exactly. It just covers it up temporarily. And our world offers endless ways to do that, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Endless entertainment, consumption, social media with its curated realities. It feels like we're constantly given tools, maybe unintentionally, to just mask this subtle dukkha.
We're definitely taught to chase the highs and avoid the lows at almost any cost. But that approach, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a deep wound. It doesn't heal it. The Buddha's real genius, I think, was asking us to turn around and actually face this truth head on.
Not with despair, though.
No, not with despair, but with clarity, with an open, curious mind. He taught that truly seeing dukkha for what it is, acknowledging it, that becomes the very first act of liberation.
Okay, liberation. But that still feels incredibly counterintuitive. How can really understanding and accepting this pervasive unsatisfactoriness actually lead to freedom, to peace for you, the listener? It sounds almost like a contradiction.
It does seem paradoxical at first glance, but think about it. By clearly acknowledging that all these conditioned things, experiences, feelings, possessions, even relationships, are impermanent and ultimately not perfectly satisfying.
Okay.
You begin, naturally, to let go of that unrealistic expectation, the expectation of perfect, lasting happiness from things that, by their very nature, can't provide it.
So you stop clinging so tightly.
Exactly. You stop clinging so hard to things that are inevitably going to change, to fade, to pass away. When you deeply understand that attachment to the fleeting is a primary source of stress and suffering, well, you naturally start to loosen that grip.
And connecting that to just like daily life, how does that play out? Does it mean you don't enjoy things?
Not at all. Actually, the opposite. This understanding helps cultivate a profound sense of equanimity, real balance.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about it. When a pleasant moment arises, maybe that perfect vacation you plan or a really good conversation, you can fully appreciate it. Be truly present with it.
Because you're not worried about it ending.
Precisely. You're not burdened by that subtle underlying fear of its inevitable ending or the disappointment if it wasn't exactly perfect. You're free to just experience it.
And the flip side, when difficult moments come,
you can meet them with a clearer mind, too, with
Right.
less resistance, maybe. Knowing that they, also, like all things, are impermanent. They will pass. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but you see it within a larger context.
so dukkha isn't the end of the story.
Not even close. It's framed as the absolutely critical first step in a powerful four-step process, the Four Noble Truths.
Right.
Once you clearly see that this unsatisfactoriness, this dukkha, exists, you're naturally motivated to look for its cause. That's the second noble truth.
I did.
Then you realize that the suffering, this dukkha, can cease. There is an end to it. That's the third.
Which gives hope.
Exactly. And finally, you're motivated to follow the path that leads to its end. The fourth noble truth, the eightfold path. The Buddha showed us, essentially, that it's okay to feel the pain, the stress, the unsatisfactoriness that arises, but you don't have to be defined by it. You don't have to be trapped by it.
So the teaching on dukkha really isn't some declaration of hopelessness at all.
Far from it. It's actually an invitation. The ultimate invitation, perhaps.
An invitation for you, the listener.
Yes, an invitation for you to stop grasping so tightly at what is fleeting, what is constantly changing, and instead to begin walking a path towards something truly, deeply unconditioned and peaceful within yourself.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you? Maybe the provocative thought to leave you with is this. By truly honestly accepting the impermanence and the subtle unsatisfactoriness inherent in, well, almost everything around you and within you,
Yeah.
you actually gain the clarity, the motivation, maybe even the energy to cultivate a profound, unshakable kind of peace. A peace that doesn't depend quite so much on whether things outside are going exactly your way.
It's a journey, really, from acknowledging that baseline discomfort to finding a much deeper, more resilient kind of freedom.
We really hope this deep dive gives you a new lens, perhaps a slightly different way to view your own journey, your own experiences.
Fostering, hopefully, a deeper understanding and maybe paving the way towards a more lasting, genuine peace.